Hi guys, welcome to another episode of She Said What? The podcast where we help you master life and we do away with limiting beliefs one podcast at a time. As you know, guys, I have a special guest today, per usual, but this one is quite special to me. She has become a good friend of mine. I call her my personal life-size Barbie. Please, everyone, welcome Jessica Hatch. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yes, the glam. Okay.
Sitting next to you, I need a cocktail. Just your energy. It just it just gives you that, I need to cheers you.
Seriously, we need a drink. We definitely need a drink on set. So we're gonna get into it, straight into it. So, I met you through networking, and I just remember when I first saw Jessica, she exuded confidence, It wasn't cocky, but it was just enough to know, she knows who she is. And I think that's what attracted me to you. I was like, who is this girl? I like her. She was like, you know what? It's a lot of people that claim to be millionaires, but I'm the real deal. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
I love that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So
you.
could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and, just who you are?
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you so much for having me be on, your podcast too, by the way.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. I think that you speak a lot of truth and a lot of light into others. And I think it's important for people like you, to use that ability and, and have that presence and bring others up where you see able.
That.
So, so Jessica Hatch, as you know, and I basically am, ultimately in the medical space within just about everything that I do. I've got MRI facilities, I've got pain clinics, I have medical facilities where we have orthopedic and spine surgeons doing consults for us, I have chiro offices, and I have a talk show called Hatching for Health where we bring on families and organizations, basically basing it on children with rare conditions.
Yes.
And trying to help them find cures and ultimately connect them with the right resources to, just basically improve their way of life, whether there's a cure out there yet or they're looking for one. But ultimately, finding research is really where a cure comes from. So bringing attention and highlighting those conditions is really one of the main things our goal is on the Hatching for Health show.
Yeah, just a woman of purpose, I believe. It's like you're doing what you love, but you're also giving back. And she kind of rushed past that, but you own over 7 clinics in Houston, Texas, or medical facilities in Houston alone. And she's growing, y'all. She's trying to you're trying to open at least once a month.
Okay, that's a little aggressive, but yeah, no. Actually, it's not. If it was up to me, I would. My new assistant, Carly, she's like, what? We're doing what? I know she's here with us today. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love her. She's like, yeah, let's do it. She's just all about it. But absolutely, I mean, I know that we're helping people, and I know that in order to continue to do that, we have to continue growing, and our locations, have to service within a certain mile radius of people. We can't ask them to drive, too far. So when I find a need of a number of people in a new area, then it kind of allows for me to grow that area and then just kind of build upon it. Right. Yeah. But yeah, every 6 months is definitely a goal. We are currently in the process of opening a location that'll open March 1st in West Houston. And that's kind of on our, timetable at the moment. Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely healthcare, Houston exudes that, right? I mean, we have the medical center. People will travel from all over the world to get different treatments here. And obviously, any way I can be a part of that as an extension of it, or, even whatever kind of impact I can make, I'm all about it and all hands in right now.
Yeah, for sure. So what drove you to even be in the medical field? Because kind of take us back. I think life is full circle. And so when I was younger, the things that I wanted to do in life are exactly what I'm doing, maybe in a different way. So kind of take us, when you were younger, did you expect to be in the medical field? Is that what you always saw yourself doing?
No.
Okay.
I'm absolutely not. No, I mean, it's I remember, growing up, we didn't come from much. And I think because of that, it's like you want everything because you can't have everything. You know, it's not everything's at your fingertips. So, you know, like you kind of already grow up and like, you know, wanting so many things that like your fellow, you know, students have in school that maybe, you know, are
Yeah.
growing up a little bit different. And so I remember my brother and I, like anything fancy, like for some reason we wanted it. It's like, that's not what mom can afford, but we want it, you know? And so from a very young age, I was figuring out ways to make money. Like, I mean, you know, whether like lifeguarding in the summers, working at Abercrombie and Finch, and like, you know, during another summer, like I was always like trying to find a way to, you know, to basically bring home some of my own money, and then I could
Yeah.
like figure that out. But to answer your question as it relates to like what I want to do, I was, you know, a really big athlete. I started playing sports at the age of 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, I played softball pretty much year round because it was like tournament softball.
Yeah.
And then I started to get into like the basketball, which like AAU, which then becomes like seasonal, but you're like still playing so much. And then whenever school started, there was actual like team sports. I've volleyball, softball, basketball, track. I did it all. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just like, so I would say like sports were like a super like passion of mine, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, more than anything else. Like I wasn't, you know, in ballet or tap, or I was in gymnastics actually before 8 years old.
Yeah.
And started just to learn some physicalities to like how our body mechanics work. But as soon as like softball, like a team sport could happen, you know, that was my
athlete.
world. And it was like, yeah, so always an athlete, always driven by that. So I wanted to be a professional athlete. That was my dream. That was my goal. It was to go to the Olympics. It was to be that, you know.
Yeah.
And that really didn't leave me, I mean, until honestly like 5 years ago, because I even was trying out for like an Olympic team handball sport.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like it's basically I think something that like I was always pushing towards, you know, and then I played college sports on scholarship, so it was like being, I call it like being paid to play, you know,
Yeah.
in a way. So all of that, like even through graduation, I was a kinesiology major, so a bachelor's of kinesiology, minor in health. But at that point, it was like I'm just doing this degree because I'm an athlete and this is what I do. And like it was just like I'm learning, continue to learn the kinetics of our body.
For athletics.
Because I play sport, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't like I'm gonna be this and be that. It was like I want to get recruited and play like, you know, in the Olympic softball.
Yeah.
You know, so that was just like where my head was. So it was like, and then if there were ways to make side hustle money, I was still doing that.
Yeah.
But I didn't have, you know, to pay for college because of the sports aspect. You know what I mean? So
Perfect.
yeah, it was like definitely
Yeah.
not where I am today, but like I was, you know, talking to someone over the weekend about like I think all of the drive and stuff that I have comes from like being
You're
an
an athlete.
athlete and like the coaches pushing me. So like that was
Yeah,
like
and
the
the fact that
longest
you're
answer, sorry.
that's okay. I love that. Because the fact that you went to school just you know, it kind of all meshes together because you start learning about the body and now you help people with their body. So it kind of all makes sense, but if I had to choose,
Yeah.
I would have thought model cuz look at you, long legs, beautiful.
Thank you. I know. I'm like,
Miss America
it's
pageant
right now.
queen. I would have thought modeling. So was modeling in your journey at all or
Yeah, so I did do some modeling, you know, going to long legs thing. I ended up always being like bikini. It was like, you know,
Oh,
it
okay.
wasn't like fashion or like runway type stuff. My
Yeah.
my build I think is more athletic, but like in a swimsuit, like it worked. And so I did like compete in a lot of different things that essentially were like modeling related. Like I did like
Yeah.
Miss Bikini USA, I did Miss Eugenia, I did women's tri-fit, like
I knew it.
all these like fitness competition like related things. But then there was
Yeah.
like I did Hawaiian Tropic, I did Miss Dark Tan, I did like the Roxy calendar, like, you know, so yeah, I was, you know, I guess competing and using my you know kind of
Yeah.
looks and build and athleticism to like kind of shine in a different way. But ultimately, like I feel like it goes back to like when you're playing sports, it's like you go out there and you perform like on a field or in a gym like for an audience. And so it's like I always craved that. And so it was like, oh, I'm gonna go on stage in front of them to, even if it was to
Compete.
judge me, to win,
Yeah.
you know, first, you know. So I like was trying to keep finding things that I could do.
Yeah.
And like that's why I think I own businesses now, because it's like now I want to shine as a woman owner doing these things in the world, because now my physical abilities of like, performing or just standing on stage and like looking pretty, they're not gone, but like there's bigger purpose to this world than like that kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, where can I like fit in now? Like,
I totally get it. I mean, we're different paths, but like I was a dancer. I've always loved the stage, but I also like the business behind it. So I used to dance. I own choreography businesses.
Oh, I love that.
Even the hustle that you have, I started working at 15 because my mom had 3 other girls, and she was a single mom for a minute before she got married. So it was always like, okay, I need to make sure I'm independent. So I understand, like I relate to you on that part and just that competition. And I feel like you have to have that type of hustle to be an entrepreneur. It's no way you can probably survive if you don't have that hustle and that competitive spirit in you to be in this world that we're in. So I definitely get it. So what kind of drove you and what led you like to the journey that you're here now? Like, did it start even in Houston, or did you live here, or like what happened in between?
Yeah, so for healthcare specific, like I, basically when I graduated, I did stuff that actually tied into kinesiology. Like I was working at Fit Athletic Club in Midtown, and I sold memberships. I trained people, and I did things that related to like my degree, because I was like, I guess that's what you do. When you first finish, knowing that I didn't get that degree for like, unfortunately, that sadly to say, like I wasn't, because like I'm gonna go be a trainer for a team or it wasn't really. It was just kind of like what fellow athletes were doing that didn't know either. So so it was like
just all trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll do this, and then I started like I was even doing like physical therapy with a kinesiology license under a doctor at like a clinic out in Madisonville, Texas, and and I was doing all these different things that really related to like training, like from selling memberships to personal training to doing group classes for people, and then like I got an opportunity to work in a recruiting company for really any and all jobs. It was it was a staffing company.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, we staff HR departments, accounting departments. Like, we need you to go out and find the companies that need to fill these roles, and then our in-house recruiters will fill them. And I was like, that sounds cool. It's just like the girl met me at the gym and was like, do you want to do business development? It was Burnett Staffing, and so that was like my first, I feel like, real job outside of like sports.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, and I really had a knack for the business development of it, and I was like, this is cool. And so it kind of progressed from there, where I was doing other jobs in business development capacities. The next one was another staffing company, but it was focused on oil and gas staff.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until like actually those two kind of came to an end. Like I basically tried out for like the WWE Diva Search.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up like basically like winning one of the top 8, and so we went on this little like
I could see you on
journey of like of competing and getting like voted for. Like literally, it was like almost like American Idol days, like when that was new, people were voting for you.
Yeah.
And so I was like going around Houston with like I made flyers, and I was like
vote
text JH to vote for me, and I was like all about it. Like I felt like I was like a celebrity because WWE has like a huge audience. Like it's not necessarily my friend circle or my family.
Yeah.
But like there was so many people that are obsessed with it.
I was.
And and so I was like, okay, like, I had like a lot of like younger kids would come up to me and literally be like, can I get an autograph? And I was like, stop it.
Yes.
I was like, I'm just in the competition. Let me win,
Yeah.
Anyways, but it gave me this like, this energy again, like this for like the sports that I had played, the competing in fitness competitions. And I was like, I like this. And I was like, and so I just started to like kind of chase it. And I ended up making like I got 3rd in the U.S. This girl, Miss Torres, won. But I came a really long way from 100 girls that they flew to Huntington Beach and competed in like obstacle course and rapid fire questions and all this stuff. It was like, really, really fun and competitive. But that moment, like basically the attention it kind of gained me, and where I saw like people were going to listen to me, and it kind of gave me like a little authority.
Yeah.
And again, when you have that, you can make a difference. You can do stuff. So I was like, I like this, and I'm like, I'm going to go to LA. And so I did. Like I literally pretty much in 2007 I did the Diva search, and so 2009 I moved to LA, and I had a great job here in Houston in corporate America. At the time I was already like, I was potentially making six figures, and that was 20, like mid 20, like 27 years old. So I already knew, I was like, I can do business, I can do corporate America, but I'm gonna go chase some dreams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like I'm not going to the Olympics. This isn't happening. I was like, I'm gonna go for acting. And so I moved to LA, and so yeah, like that's basically like where just everything shifted. And unfortunately, like I did a lot of things. I was like in like quite a few. I was like on set for How I Met Your Mother. I was on CSI Miami. I was a lot of stuff was happening and doors were opening, but I met a guy.
Isn't that where it all is?
And then it's like all of a sudden, like what you want doesn't matter because love happens, and you're just like pulled by it, and you just forget about what you want.
Yeah, you just get a little.
Yeah.
What?
And it was a Latino at the time, like from Chile, and it was just like, I was like, what are you doing to me? I was like, and he pulled me, and it was like, and I ended up stopping auditioning, stopping doing all the things, and I landed in a job in healthcare in Santa Monica, California.
Okay.
And that's where it actually began. Like, so, in 2000, basically 2000, October of 2009 was my first job in the healthcare industry properly. And that, and it kind of just like, it never, like that guy was like, you're too good to do acting. You're too good to like go audition and tell somebody that you're good enough. He's like, you're better than, that's the way that he like made me feel like, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm better than that. I don't need someone to tell me that I'm right for a role. Yeah. But the reality is like, that's how that industry works. Yeah. And I was like, but I listened to him, and he got in my skin, and he's like, you're capable of much more than that already. Like, and so, I guess I'm glad I listened because I'm where I am today. But I know that he had a big impact in like kind of my change of direction. Yeah. And that job in healthcare, I ended up marrying the guy, and but whenever shit hit the fan in LA, like I brought him to Houston with me and stayed in healthcare industry, you know, and it's like, yeah, and then that's how you, I mean, I feel like maybe like if you do like a follow-up episode, I want to go into all that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because it like, and I talked a little bit, maybe at the event you were at, but we lost everything. Like I left, like
you told me a little bit.
So then it was like, was I supposed to stay in acting? Because like, I shifted and lost everything, and it was like, why, like why would I?
Like now what?
Yeah, it was like everything, like my car repoed, his car repoed, kicked out of our apartment, going and living with like a friend. Like, we pawned jewelry at the jewelry shop. Wow. We went to go try and get it out. The jewelry shop burnt down. It was, like, everything. It was everything. So that was why we left LA, because I was like, this is scary. Like, God is like, get out of here. Yeah. But then I was like, or is it the guy I'm with that he's like, don't be with him? I don't know, because, he didn't become my Mr. Forever, and it was a very dramatic relationship, verbally abusive and stuff. So... yeah, that was... You never, you think that you're listening, but was I really listening, Because I let that relationship carry on for 6 years of my life, Yeah. And it brought me back home to Houston and my journey of, like, my healthcare empire. But, you just wonder, right?
Yeah. So I don't believe there's any wrong terms. I believe that God makes you, and he leaves choices for you, but ultimately he's going to use you how he wants, and he's going to give you whatever you want once you're ready. And that, like, look at what you are now. You had to go through all of that stuff in order to get where you are. Yeah. Can you get a tissue, baby?
Sorry.
No, you're fine, because it's so real. Somehow we lose track of God, and then he wakes you up like, boo, you're drowning now. Now you need me. Now I'm about to elevate you. When you hit the floor, that's how you know you're about to be elevated, because there's nowhere.
So I never thought about that.
It's like that. No lower you can go.
Was like, what is going on? Because like I've always, like, doors have always opened for me. God is always there. Like,
always favored
even when the acting, like the way that things were happening, I was like it was a little scary. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make it. Like, I'm going to literally be a famous actress, like, really quick if this keeps going, like, the way it was. I was friends with, like, Jamie Foxx, like, Michael. I went to Michael Bay's home, like, and these people were, like, respecting me, and And
Thank
like,
you.
I mean, you know, I have a very humble personality, and I think coming from Texas and like, and at
Yeah.
the time, like there was a, like literally everything was working, and I was like, it was really, really special and like a blessing. And I did meet this person, and he was like very controlling, and I don't want to call him manipulative, but it was just like, and it, so I just kind of let myself like kind of,
Yeah.
you know, be guided by what he wanted and thought was
He
best for me.
validated you.
But it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
and it was, you know,
Yeah.
definitely a very like vulnerable time, and there were good times with this individual, like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, like he, like the same way he whatever manipulated me out of acting, like he manipulated me into being like a super strong businesswoman, and like made me believe that I was capable of anything, you know.
Yeah, 'cause you
and like
are.
was super hard on me, like
Yeah.
as I grew, like, you know, he definitely like like had
Yeah.
that. It was like a, you know, dad figure he had become. It was like, okay, I'm listening, I'm gonna do it, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
But everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Every part, the good, the bad, the ugly, is
Yeah.
all a part of your story. We're just like this storybook. Pages haven't been written yet. Pages has been written, but it always works out. And I'm so glad because, like, how long did it even take you after that hardship to like reverse and like get back on top? Like, how long
Yeah.
was that?
Girl, it was quick because I don't stay down
Do
for
you
long.
see what I'm
I was
saying?
like, yeah, it was
Do you
like
see?
we moved back here in 2011, and I opened my first like company in 2012. Like that was Infinity Diagnostics, the scheduling company. You know, that then
Yeah.
became brick and mortars to follow. But I mean, it wasn't long. Like it was like, okay, all right, let me figure it out. Like I came back here, I was still working for that healthcare company that I was in
Okay.
Santa Monica working for, and
Okay.
so I just knew that I needed to come to Houston. And so, but I stayed connected to them,
Oh, that's so
and it,
good.
like I let that kind of evolve a little bit, but I stayed in healthcare. So like obviously it was a lot of hustle, but I wanted that independence of like having my own company. And so it took its time to like, you know, build to what it is today. But I
Yeah.
think at 33, like, you know, I essentially like made what would like $1 million had been deposited in the bank. Like you don't need a million sitting there. But I'm saying like I
But you
reached that
touched
number
it. Yeah.
collectively with all the crazy expenses included. But it was like, you know, you do
Yeah.
your return and you're like, okay, and then you just start to deduct. So it was like, you know, we moved back, and yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of how old I am today and like do the math on how old or what year that was. But basically like it was, so I guess that man like kind of like catapulted me to like, you know, kind of get to there. Like
Yeah,
maybe
I
I would
think
have
it
got
was.
there on my own.
Yeah.
I mean,
God
yeah.
used him. God used people, regardless to what toxic traits they bring into our lives.
Yeah.
He still used, and somehow he did bring something out of you.
Mm-hmm.
That was already in there, you know. So
Yeah.
you just became this monster, and like you evolved, and you touched 1 million after a year of being down.
So, yeah, I mean, basically at 33, and we divorced at 34. No, it took 2 years. Like, so once we got back, I think
Yeah.
I was like 32. And then by 30,
By 34, you was on top.
yeah, it
That's
was like,
amazing.
because then him and I divorced at 36. I remember that. Yeah, so it was like we enjoyed, you know,
Yeah.
hard work and money together. And then, yeah, and then like when we divorced, I started actually, like, that was with no brick and mortars, which is the crazy thing. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have as much overhead. and,
Yeah.
and then I wanted the credibility in the industry. So I was like, I could have just let that continue to evolve, but I was like, I want to have brick and mortars. I want to create that, you know, like place where a patient comes and this is my office, this
Yeah.
is my business, and not like keep using other people's locations to
Yeah.
kind of build myself. And so when we divorced, because he was against that idea, and then I found my first location, and so as a newly divorcee, like I opened my first brick and mortar Infinity Diagnostic Center, off of Edlow there in River Oaks, and so that. Yeah, I got a Maserati. I moved into the brand new high rise on 2920, and I was just like a mess. Like I was.
Oh, I stayed over
not
in
a mess, but I
2920
was like,
too.
really?
Yeah.
In
I
your
did
single
it.
days?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was married. My
Okay.
first house with my husband was in
Okay.
spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, 2929, the high rise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I wish.
So it's
Straight
called,
for 25, I was married, so I didn't even get to
Okay.
like.
Yeah. Well, I married the Chileno like at 26.
Yeah.
And then we stayed married till it was 6 years. Hold on. So 26, 4 or 5. So we divorced right at the time. Yeah, everything happened. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but yeah, 2929 Westland. It's a high rise right
Oh,
off of there.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yes.
it's right there, like River Oaks District, and I was the first one to live in my unit, 24th floor, like wraparound balcony.
A huge turnaround,
Because
like.
there was like I had no one tell me. I went and got my boobs done right after
Yes.
the divorce. Yeah, the crazy thing is when I met him, I had just got my boobs done, and he didn't think I needed boobs. So within 6 months, I took them out. I had met him so I had him for 1 year.
Yeah.
That's how much of a
The
this
power.
man
Yeah.
was like, you need to be natural, and he's like, you just got him, okay? Then let's take.
Yeah.
This son of a bitch. I went and took out my boobs. I was like, okay, but they were a little too bad. It was like 420, and it was like, for me, it was too much. So
Yeah.
now I have like 380, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I took them out, and then as soon as we got divorced, I went and got them.
Put it back in. Put them back in.
I was like, yeah, so it was like boob, Maserati, high rise. I was like, let's do this.
Yes.
I was on one, yeah.
I love that.
I was like,
I love that. It was a whole new independence for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so high.
I love that.
I was like,
this is
yeah,
it.
never
This is what I
done
needed.
it.
I love that.
Yeah.
The beauty of failure. I always talk about that. The beauty of failure. Like, it don't matter if it's personal or business. You're going to fail in life. And the harder you fall, the greater the reward is
when
how
you
I
come
feel.
back. Yeah, well, and it just feels that much better, like when you start
Feels
coming
that
back
much
up.
better. It's like, thank God. Look what I was pulled out of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just with my personal life, with my business, everything. You had everything taken, and then you build it yourself. Is a beautiful story. So that's why another reason why I respect you so much, because you understand, like, the roller coaster, even in business. Like, you can be up today, down tomorrow, but you already know, like you said, you don't stay down for long. Yeah.
No, you don't.
That.
Especially when you've already, like, you've hit certain peaks, and then, you're like, okay, I knew what it took to get there. And so you almost get back that much faster, because you like remember the things that you
your mistakes
didn't do right.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
it's
a
blueprint.
That.
Yeah.
And just kind of get here.
Yeah.
Now.
It's a literal manual. Like, this is what you don't avoid. But you can't learn that if you don't fail.
Yeah.
So I love that. What can you leave with the audience today, that someone that may be in a position that you were in, or that's looking at you to say, you know what, my life is where she was. How can I get out of this? What can you leave for the audience today?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say, like, for those of you like watching, like, I am a Christian woman, and I do lead with that a lot, because I do think that I'm where I'm at today, and my success has a lot to do with him and those doors being open. Because I do think that, there are doors that, like, no man can close. So, like, if it's meant to open, then it will. And, like, don't be afraid, or discouraged when it doesn't, because that means that the right door will be there for you. And to just, like, lead with your faith. And just, stick with the confidence along the roller coaster of it all. Like, just know that where you're trying to get to is going to happen in due time. Like, if you keep putting in the effort, like, you will get there. And just kind of, like, following Jesus. That sounds, so cliche, but it's like, it is so true. Like, I don't feel like, it's the moment that I get caught up in, like, the craziness of the world, and, like, and I forget to take a few moments to, like, read my Joel Osteen app, or read my daily devotional, or those little things, that the day doesn't go, like, the way that I wanted it, or that door doesn't open that I had expected it to. And so I think that kind of gives you a little bit more guidance, so that you can kind of get to the top. So
for sure, keep God first. I love that. So, guys, please follow Jessica Hatch. You can Google her. Like, she's Googleable.
WWE.
WWE, LA Finest, like, Houston Baddie. Like, if you Google her, she's gonna pop up. She has 6 locations in Houston. Infinity
Diagnostics, Prestige Medical, and Hatching for Health is the talk show. So hatchingforhealth.org.
CW39.
CW39.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much for
being
here with us. Would love to have you back.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Like, absolutely. Hopefully next time I sit here, I'll be pregnant. And we can talk about
that
pray
for babies. Her and her husband. Yes, I love it. Well, thank you so much. And
of course,
again, guys, catch us next week on another episode of She Said What? Peace out.